We have about 5 to 10 years before United States of America will face the financial collapse. And this collapse is coming because of the corruption on the highest level of our government. I will go administration after administration from 2001 explaining each corruption. I will identify people responsible. All people I will name at the end of the video, and then I will tell you what we can do, you and I. So why collapse is coming? If you're in a family and your family, you work, but you still have so much expenses and you borrowing on your credit cards. If you don't pay your credit cards down and you just keep paying your minimum bills, the accumulation of your credit cards will force you to go for bankruptcy. That's the same thing what is going on with our country. Our government, our country cannot apply for bankruptcy because our country is significant in the world because our financial strength. That's how we stand strong in the whole world and partially how we make money. So since 2001, our country was running on a net deficit in the budget. And what we're going to do, if we have deficit in the budget, we have to tap into national debt. And we are not paying down our national debt because every year since 2001, we're accelerating our borrowing. Every year. Last couple of years, it was between 2-3 trillion a year. It's not sustainable at all. That's why in 5-10 years, our national debt will be approximately $60 trillion. And we have to pay interest expense on that money. Interest expense is a part of our budget. If you look at the graph that I presented to you, you can see it. Payments on the national debt, interest expense, will outgrow any expenses that we do within our budget. Military, Social Security, Medicare and Medicaid. It's just not sustainable. But let me talk about corruption, administration by administration, as I promised, so you can understand what happened during each administration. How did we get to the point of today that we're on the brink of a collapse, financial collapse? So George Bush from 2001, he inherited recession and then 9/11, of course, but his missteps, one huge misstep is, of course, leading our country into the war with Iraq. Going to Iraq created actually mistrust between us and our government. Is the intelligence correct? Can we trust FBI? Can we trust CIA? Can we trust the decision making of our government taking us to the war? So all those things created the craziness between parties, and everybody was using that in own advantage when there were elections and between parties and candidates. So it's created more and more distrust. But it wasn't the moment that put so much into the financial collapse as we're talking today. The problem came with the mortgage crisis. During that time between 2003 and 2005, George Bush and his administration created and pushed the idea of ownership society. It's all about that every American, even who doesn't have much money, should be able to buy a house. Democrats came to support this idea with their own pitch that every American deserved to have a home. But within Bush administration and the Congress, they pushed the underwriting criteria, so they make it so loose that so many people could afford to buy a house, to buy but not to keep, with the subprime mortgages. you could just buy the house with a 1% down, and possibly with 1 year or 2, 3 years with the interest rate 1 or 3%. And when the short period introductory interest had expired, people couldn't afford. They wanted to sell, but the pricing started going down and everything collapsed. So it took our country so much down with that financial crisis. And this is a big, big problem for Bush administration and his legacy, if any. Barack Obama came. So he came on the verge of the crisis. Crisis was going on already. It was the biggest recession ever in the United States. Monetary problem. People couldn't borrow. So it was a huge problem. But Barack Obama and his administration, they did good stuff too. It's not like I'm gonna just talk about everything what they did. I'm concentrating on the problems, on the huge problems, which today bringing us to the financial collapse. I listened so many interview of George Bush and Barack Obama. They're nice people. The problem is nice people, it's not a profession. So Barack Obama came and he dealt with the crisis. But what he did wrong in his administration, they kept almost at zero interest rate for 8 years. What it did, it created the inflationary trend. The prices in 8 years of Obama, they start rocketing up. Pricing for assets, stock market went up, housing pricing went up significantly. So that was a huge, huge problem today when we talked about inflation. It's not just inflation from the previous Biden administration or Trump administration. It started everything from Obama administration in 2010, 11, and it just kept going because his administration should have started lifting up the interest rate at about 2010. They didn't do it. And then, of course, Obamacare, with the noble ideas that people should have a house because they're Americans, some people should have a universal care because they're Americans. It's all noble, but if you don't have a plan, you shouldn't be offering that. So he created Obamacare. I'm not going to go into the details what it entails to, but the problem was it just doesn't work. From the beginning, it couldn't work. In my book, I'm explaining how to make it work. But Barack Obama pushed it anyways. So borrowing $2 or $3 trillion for Obamacare, it created additional problem that we are talking about. And then Donald Trump came. He came as somebody outsider who supposed to be a businessman, a billionaire who knows what to do. Ideas he brought, of course, to build the wall, to lower the income tax, to get rid of corruption. All the ideas were noble. Nothing worked because he didn't have any plan. Everything what he was offering had no plan. I will give you an example, and I don't want to go into the details too. For example, he said, let's build the wall so illegal immigrants will not come. Only building a wall, it's not a solution. And he didn't sell correctly that solution. He was talking about that building a wall, it will prohibit gangsters and some kind of like big time criminals to go through that places where there is no wall. It's opposite. He should have stated that building a wall would just eliminate crowd migration through our borders, because this is important to create order on the borders. And how to create order, you have to build the wall so big huge numbers of people will not just go through open space and then it's hard to stop them. They have to go through the gates. But he couldn't even understand that. He couldn't sell it normally. He told us that criminals will not go through that place anymore. But criminals can go on airplanes in first class or something. And then Democrats, instead of say, okay, building a wall, it's a step one. Let us offer something. Let us acknowledge that there is a problem with the illegal immigration, with the crossing of the border. No, they didn't offer anything. They just dismantled the idea of Donald Trump to build at least a wall, and he couldn't defend why he needs the wall in the first place. So it's a chaos. He brought in our life chaos. He didn't bring any solutions. He brought lots of hope. And then, of course, COVID. With COVID, Trump didn't handle properly. In 1 year, his administration borrowed $4 trillion. It's just unbelievable. How can you borrow $4 trillion for government spending when your budget for 1 year was about $4 trillion? This is unprecedented. What he has done is like the cherry on the top of the cake. Then Biden came. I'm not going to defend Biden. Biden administration, I think, held okay because they were coming within the COVID and aftermath of COVID. It was tough, but the spending was crazy too. And then Trump came back again, promises, tariff war. It just doesn't work. You can sign up for my channel and see videos on tariffs. Tariffs doesn't work. Blanket tariffs. Tariff is a tool for specific items, specific industry, but not the blanket tariffs. So he made so many promises and he borrowed and borrowed. So he's also put a huge input in the collapse that we are facing. Let me summarize. From 2001, administration after administration promised us to fix illegal immigration, to bring us affordable health care, to bring us some sense of life, like we can afford things when we work hard. But simple things, that essential things, weren't done. Administration after administration, they were going by borrowing from the national debt and increasing national debt. And now we are sitting at the pivotal point that this debt will explode in our faces and we will have a financial collapse. I'm thinking 5 to 10 years. And I promise to tell you who is guilty in all of that. And if you're ready for this, I tell you, this is you. Because we have to push our government to do what they promise us to do. We have to go and vote. We have to not just vote for the president, we have to vote on our local levels. Also, we have to educate ourselves because we are a democratic country. It means we are directing our lives. And if we don't participate, somebody is participating and somebody is doing whatever they want to do, like our government. Not everybody is bad, but today we are standing at the crossroads where either we collapse or we do something. And you say, yeah, but Donald Trump said he will do drill, baby, drill. This is not the answer. This is another trick. Because our oil, extraction of oil, cost about $40 to $50 per barrel. Refining of our oil cost about $8 to $10. So the cost of production, extraction, and refinery, it's about $50 to $60 per barrel. And for Saudis, it's about $10 per barrel. We cannot compete. So if the price per barrel for oil will be below $50, we will be losing money. So this is not a solution, drill, baby, drill. This is insanity. Another thing he promised with tariffs, this is crazy. I'm not going to even waste my time. So there is no solutions from the Trump administration later on. Trump administration point two, no solutions. And he kept income taxes at the same level, which will put another hole into the budget because we need to get money somewhere to pay down national debt and pay for our bills. But you say, okay, but we will elect Democrats. What Democrats are offering to you? Universal care. Who's going to pay for universal care? If you just say the rich and powerful will pay, all health care costs for all Americans together in 2024 were about $4.9 trillion for health care. As a country, our government on our behalf collected only $4.9 trillion as our government revenue. So if you think that you can have our government to pay for universal health care, you're not insane, you're uneducated. Even if we double taxes on corporations and higher income taxpayers, we will not be able to pay for universal health care. So today, nobody's offering any solutions when we are 5 to 10 years into financial collapse. But I do. This is my book I wrote in 2018, explaining what is United States of America, what is going on. If you open up and you have all the answers, each issue that income tax or healthcare or illegal immigration, I listed how we can solve it, and it's doable. I contacted several Congress people. Nobody's returning any phone call, any emails. They don't care. So the point is this: do you care? This is not just a corruption on the top. This is ignorance on the bottom. So why don't you sign up for my channel? Why don't you like it? Why don't you send it to your friends? Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me, do you have a solution? Let's deal with the situation. I don't need money. I'm not going after money, publicity, or anything. Just get somebody to get my book and just get the answers. So I appreciate your participation and thank you for watching this video. Take care.